The media is attempting to find any way to spin The Acolyte as a success. They are now digging up nebulous and undefined streaming and engagement metric indexes to try and make this show look like it is a success, despite the fact we have numerous data points pointing to that it is an abysmal failure. Fans do not like it and they are not watching it. Before we get to this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. Wrote this up over at thatparkplace.com. And of course, it is Screen Rant, Canadian-owned media company, trying to spin The Acolyte as a success. They do so in this article titled "Exclusive Data Suggests that The Acolyte is a Star Wars success story despite the backlash." Author Thomas Bacon claims that Real Good looked through their data to see how The Acolyte compares to other live-action Disney Plus Star Wars TV shows. The results are surprising and indicate The Acolyte may be a lot more popular than many believe. He then goes on to share a graph showing the various Disney Plus Star Wars shows based on release date. And then they have this streaming and engagement numerical ranking number. The Acolyte has the second highest score with a 6.1 behind Obi-Wan Kenobi, which has a 7.9. The first season of The Mandalorian is a 3.8. Season 2 of Mando, 5.4. Book of Boba Fett is the lowest with a 3.2. Andor with a 3.8. The Mandalorian Season 3 with a 3.4. So this metric is trying to claim that Mando Season 3 is less successful than The Acolyte. Woo! I mean, talk about a reach. They're trying to get people to buy into this. It's just absolutely bogus. They don't provide really any definition as to what this number even means, but this is how they try and explain it. Bacon wrote this: Real Good compared the live-action Star Wars Disney Plus TV shows looking at the first 14 days since The Acolyte's release. They found that The Acolyte is the second most successful in terms of streaming and engagement, outperforming the average top 100 TV show by a factor of 6. It is only surpassed by Obi-Wan Kenobi, which outperformed the average top 100 TV show by a factor of 8. Furthermore, a note on the article says this: Real Good defined engagement as an aggregation of user interactions with titles across Real Good platforms, including playbacks, tracking, and other interactions. Well, who even knows what that means? Sounds like just a bunch of hodgepodge. They don't provide any specifics. And honestly, this doesn't tell us anything. If you don't know what Real Good is, this is how they describe themselves on their website: as the most extensive streaming guide in the US and UK, with every TV show and movie available online. Browse through every TV series and movie and sort by title, release year, genre, IMDb rating, and most important, see where to watch it. Then play with a single click or tap. Interestingly, according to SimilarWeb, the website generated just above 2 million page views in the last 28 days. So I'm not sure how they are extrapolating their data, which seems to be extremely limited based on the number of page views they get, to determine that The Acolyte is somehow a massive success. There could be something where just a lot of Real Good users happen to watch The Acolyte compared to other shows, these other Star Wars shows, aside from, I guess, Obi-Wan Kenobi. What is interesting here, though, is that the two shows that have the highest score are two shows that Lucasfilm ran a fan bait campaign where they accused Star Wars fans of being racist. They did this with Obi-Wan Kenobi, with actress Moses Ingram. We saw Ewan McGregor do his little car video. And then they did this with The Acolyte. We saw Kathleen Kennedy, Leslie Headland attack the fans in a New York Times article. And then Amanda Stenberg did her whole rap video, I guess, if you call it, where she's gyrating up and down on the screen. So that's interesting. And that, to me, means that they are factoring in a lot of other things. Remember, it says here that you can browse through the IMDb rating. So maybe they are taking into account IMDb review scores. Maybe they're doing some kind of social media engagement. I think there's a lot of social media engagement around the Acolyte. It's all negative for the most part. Obviously, there's some people out there, but people are mocking this show. They're sharing clips pointing out how absolutely terrible it is. So that could be why the score is so high, because people are pointing out how absurdly bad it is. It's the same thing happened with Obi-Wan Kenobi. The whole gate thing. Remember that? And then he's running through the tunnel. She just happened to be on the other side. She magically figured out. Reva magically figured out where that was. So many just mistakes like that that people were pointing out, making fun of, and trashing. Because it is trash. It's incompetent, it's poor quality, and it's terrible storytelling. So that could be the reason. Because this data that shows that it's the second most successful Disney Plus Star Wars show flies in the face of all of the other metrics that we've seen so far, including Walt Disney's own report that says the show had 11 million global views. And we can easily calculate how many minutes watched that is, because Disney says that a view is minutes watched divided by total runtime. So that brings you to about 820 million minutes watched globally. That's less than Ahsoka, which according to Nielsen had 829 million minutes just in the United States. That's how poor the Acolyte has done. It is worse than Ahsoka's US numbers. The Acolyte's global numbers are worse than Ahsoka's US numbers. We also have Luminate data that backs this up. Luminate, which tracks minutes watched in the USA, gets their information out almost a month before Nielsen does. We're still waiting on the Nielsen numbers for the Acolyte, because usually it takes a month for Nielsen to calculate their numbers. But Luminate seemingly backs up the data from the Walt Disney Company, and it reported that only 210 million minutes watched when the show premiered in the United States for its first 2 episodes. And then they further shared that it did go up with the week of the 3rd episode. So I think you probably got a bunch of people tuning in to watch all 3. So minutes watched up. There was a lot of kind of negative hype just to want to watch the train wreck of the show. How bad is it going to be? Are they really going to make the Force a female entity? Is there going to be all the gender nonsense? A lot of it was confirmed. They redefined the Force as the thread. They introduced a coven of witches that created 2 twins. There was heavily implications that they were lesbians. And people have tuned out since then. 4th week declined to 262 million. And then the week of the 5th episode, which is actually the 4th week, it declined even further to 232.2 million. And this viewership data, where we see kind of the decline of the Acolyte, is kind of mirrored based on IMDb user reviews. You can see the first episode had 21,000, second episode 18,000. The 3rd episode went back up to 20,000. The 4th then declined significantly to 12,000, and the most recent 5th episode only has 9,300. And then obviously you have all of these negative user reviews. 3.4 out of 10 IMDb rating. Majority of user reviews are 1 out of 10, 57.1%. The actual unweighted mean is a 3.0 out of 10. On IMDb, on Rotten Tomatoes, 14% audience score. Average score is 1.2 out of 5. So there is no way that this show is a success. I think that Goodreel, all they've done is damage their own reputation by trying to push this and seemingly collaborating with Screen Rant to try and spin it. Screen Rant's reputation is already in the gutter. One of the biggest shill access media sites out there, constantly doing the bidding of their corporate overlords, debasing themselves on a daily basis. Furthermore, as I previously said, the index they shared provides no meaningful data. It's just a bunch of numbers on a bar graph. As far as I'm concerned, they could have just plugged in a bar graph and put a bunch of numbers on there. And that's how they came up with this, because they don't actually explain how they get this index. And the explanation that they do provide is extremely nebulous. doesn't really go into any details and leaves massive room for other factors. I mean, this is what the note, remember, this is what the note said. Other interactions. Well, what in the world does that mean? That could be anything. Like I said, I think they're probably factoring in Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok engagements. And if that's the case, then yes, it's not surprising that the Acolyte is up there, because people are absolutely roasting this show everywhere you look. But let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know what you make of Screen Rant, this company, Goodreel, trying to spin the Acolyte as a success, despite all other metrics saying that it is an absolute and abysmal failure. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, especially to each other, but to always speak the truth.